Shalom, Chavarim. Let's continue with Matthew chapter 8. And when he descended from the mountain, large crowds followed him. And behold, a certain leper came and worshipped him and said, "If you, my master, desire, you are able to make me clean." And Yeshua stretched out his hand and touched him and said, "I desire, be clean." And in that moment, his leprosy was cleansed. Now, I once played a leper in a play, and Aaron's sons, Ithamar and Eleazar, were taught how to cleanse a leper. There was a little joke, cleanse a leopard? But leprosy, I was taught, comes from speech. If you're speaking bad about other people. So, yeah, a lot of lepers these days, if you're not careful. Okay, but cleansing of leprosy has a prescription in the Torah, which we'll read about right here. Verse 4, and Yeshua said to him, "Why look to telling a man? Rather show yourself to the priests and offer the offering as Moshe commanded for their testimony." That's Leviticus 13:2 and 49:14:2. So let's take a look. Leviticus 13, laws about leprosy. And spoke Yahweh to Moses and Aaron, saying, "A man, when has on the skin of his body a swelling or a scab or a bright spot, and it becomes on the skin of his body like a sore leprous," that word is sarat, "then he shall be brought to Aaron the priest, or to one of his sons, priests." And there's a lot of details about how they examine it and how determine how deep it is. Verse 49, and if it is the plague greenish or reddish white in the garment or in the leather, whether in the warp or in the woof, or in anything made of leather, it is a plague leprous, it and shall be shown to the priest. So priests were not just preaching, they had medical duties as well. Leviticus 14. Cleansing the leper. And spoke Yahweh to Moses, saying, "This shall be the law of the leper for the day of his cleansing. And he shall be brought to the priest, and shall go the priest out of the camp, and shall examine him, the priest. And if indeed is healed the leprosy in the leper, then shall command the priest to take for him who is to be cleansed 2 birds living and clean, and wood and cedar and scarlet and hyssop." Oh boy. Another reason why we don't take the word exactly literally, because those sacrifices are no longer applicable. Verse 5, and when Yeshua entered Capernaum, a certain centurion approached him and was beseeching him. And he said, "My master, my boy is lying at home and is paralyzed and seriously in pain." Yeshua said to him, "I will come and heal him." The centurion answered and said, "My master, I am not worthy that you should enter under my roof, but only say the word and my boy will be healed. For I am also a man that is under authority, and there are under my hand soldiers. And I say to this one, go, and he goes, and to the other one, come, and he comes, and to my servant to do this, and he does it." And when Yeshua heard this, he was amazed and said to those that had come to them, "I say truly to you that not even in Israel have I found faith like this." So centurion's faith that Yeshua's word would heal him. And I say to you that many will come from the east and from the west and will recline with Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov in the kingdom of heaven, but the children of the kingdom will be cast into outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So the Aman of this centurion, that even though he is working in the world and being a leader for people under him, that he had the faith that knowing Yeshua. And in a way, we have to be that way in the world today. We have to have our prayer closets where we commune with the divine and then take that into the world in our relations with our people. So let's look at 88. Here and in 27:9, two different spellings of Israel are reflected in Aramaic. Kaburus uses the spelling Yud Samech Resh Lamed, whereas 1905 adds an aleph at the beginning of the word. There are spiritual reasons for retaining the aleph at the beginning that go beyond the scope of these notes, but both are equally ancient and valid readings. However, 1905 is retained. So let's take a look at that. Verse 10, here it is. B'Yisrael. B'Yisrael. So that's the extra aleph, because you could just say Yisrael like that. So let's look at 89 and 90. Very obviously, two distinct kingdoms, the kingdom of Elohim versus the kingdom of the religious enterprise, thus exposing the false theology that all Jews or Christians get saved. Children here refers to they who opt for man's religion, which rejects Yahweh, Mashiach, or Torah. That's important. Verse 90, footnote 90, weeping and gnashing of teeth. Job 16:9. In his wrath, he tears me and hates me. He gnashes at me with his teeth. My adversary sharpens his gaze on me. Psalm 35, verse 16. With hypocritical mockers at feasts, they gnashed at me with their teeth. Now, teeth begins with a shin, and the odiote for shin is a pair of teeth. 37:12, plots the wicked against the just and gnashes at him with his teeth. Psalm 112, verse 10, the wicked will see it and be grieved. His teeth he will gnash and melt away. The desire of the wicked shall perish. His teeth he will gnash and melt away. Ouch. And the desire of the wicked shall perish. So what desire do we have to be wicked? Think about that. Yirmiyahu 9:9-14. Shall for these things not I punish them, says Yahweh. On a nation such as this not shall avenge myself. For the mountains I will take up a weeping and wailing, and for the dwelling places of the wilderness a lamentation, because they are burned up so that no one can pass through, nor can men hear the voice of the cattle. From the birds of the heavens and to the beasts have fled, they are gone. And I will make Yerushalayim a heap of ruins, a den of jackals, and the cities of Yehuda I will make desolate, without an inhabitant. Let's look at that word desolate. Cities become desolate, desolation, burned. Who is the man wise, and who may understand this? And who is he to whom has spoken the mouth of Yahweh unto, that he may declare it? Why? What does perish the land and burn up like a wilderness, so that no one can pass through? And said Yahweh, because they have forsaken my law, which I set before them, and not have obeyed my voice, nor walked according to it, but they have walked according to the dictates of their own hearts, and after the Baals, which taught them their fathers. In Jonathan Cahn's newest book, the Josiah Manifesto, he addresses events such as the overturning of Roe versus Wade, interpreting it like this. Continuing Matthew, verse 13. And Yeshua said to the centurion, as you have believed it, so it will be to you. And his boy was healed in that moment, instantaneously. What do physicists say about that? And Yeshua came to the house of Shimon and saw his mother-in-law, who was lying down, and a fever had seized her. And he touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she arose and was serving him. And when it became evening, they brought him many possessed, and he cast out their demons by a word. And all of those that were badly afflicted, he healed them. So, word, the power of word, which is really melta, teaching the insight of the word. Demons can't handle that. So stay in the word, protect yourself. 17, so that might be fulfilled, which was spoken through Yeshayahu, Isaiah, the prophet, who said, he will take our sorrows and our illnesses he will bear. 91. Isaiah 53. Isaiah 53, verse 4. Surely our griefs he has borne, and our sorrows carried, and yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by Yah Elohim, and afflicted. He will take our sorrows and our illnesses he will bear. I think that is prophetic for the end times, that Yeshua will take all the tribulation, sorrows, and illnesses at the right time. Continuing, and when Yeshua saw the many crowds that were surrounding him, he commanded that they depart to the other side. And a certain scribe approached him and said to him, Rabbi, I will follow after you to wherever you will go. Yeshua said to them, the foxes, they have holes, and the birds of heaven nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere he should lay his head. And another from his disciples said to him, my master, allow me to first go bury my father. But Yeshua said to him, come follow me and leave the dead to bury their dead. Now there's an important footnote here. George Lamas suggested this could mean let the town bury their dead. In Jewish culture, immediate family members observe a 7-day bereavement called Shiva, which is the number 7, right after the burial. This extends into a less intense duration called Shaloshim, or 30 days, where the mourner begins to return back into society. Additionally, there is a 12-month period that includes Shaloshim, in which to return to one's regular routine. The 12-month period comes from an ancient Jewish custom where at the end of 12 months, the bones are gathered together and placed into a stone vault, along with those of ancestors. The tradition these days is to erect the monument 1 year after passing. Yeshua says, leave the dead to bury their dead, because the importance of attendance is now diminished. This does not refer to burial or sitting Shiva. Mashiach is not asking his disciple to dishonor his father or mother by not allowing him to attend the burial. Honor your father and mother comes from Exodus 26:12. Let's just look at 1 Kings. 1 Kings 13:31. So it was after he had buried him that he spoke to his sons, saying, when I am dead, then bury me in the tomb where the man of Elohim is buried. In beside his bones lay my bones. Exodus 20:12. Honor your father and your mother, that may be long your days upon the land which Yahweh, your Elohim, is giving you. So the phrase, leave the dead to bury their dead, is often misinterpreted by people who don't have the background to see the real meaning of it. And when Yeshua went up into a boat, his disciples went up with him. And behold, a great tempest was in the sea, so that the ship was covered by the waves. Now Yeshua was asleep, and his disciples approached him, woke him, and said to him, deliver us, our master, we are perishing. Yeshua said to them, O you of little faith, why are you fearful? Then he got up and rebuked the wind and the sea, and there was a great calm. And the men were amazed and said, who is this that the winds and the sea obey him? 93. Psalm 89, 107. Psalm 89:9. You rule the raging of the sea. When rise its waves, you still them. 107:28. And they cry out to Yahweh in trouble there, and out of their distress he brings them. He, the storm, calms so that are still its waves. So let's think about this. If we actually saw Yeshua calming the sea in the middle of a hurricane, I'm sure we would fall down on our faces and believe his word. But do we need to see that? Can we have our Aman pitching our tent without the visual of seeing a miracle? So in Revelation, we will see miracles. We will physically see them. And that's what the Jews needed in Egypt. They had to see overt miracles. But we need to have our Aman pitching our tents with Yahweh instead of the word faith in order to live our lives according to Yah's will for us. So why are we fearful of everything happening in the world today? Let's have Aman and pitch our tents with Yahweh and Yeshua and know how to live in the world. Then he got up and rebuked the wind and the sea, and there was a great calm. Verse 28. And when Yeshua came to the other side, to the place of the Gadarnes, 2 very evil possessed ones met him who were coming out from the cemetery, so that no man was able to cross over by that way. And they cried out, what do we have to do with each other, Yeshua, son of Elohim? Have you come here before the time to torment us? Leviticus 20, verse 6. And the person who turns to the mediums and familiar spirits to prostitute himself with them, and I will set my face against that person and cut off him from his people. So warning to us. Yeah, look at that accusation. Verse 30, and there was a distance from them a large herd of pigs that was feeding, and these demons were beseeching and said to him, if you cast us out, allow us to go to the herd of pigs. 95. Pigs, swine, are unclean for food, and demons are unclean spirits. Together, this indicates judgment against both physical and spiritual uncleanness. The pigs committed suicide when the demons entered into them. The lowest level of reprobation is when a person is seduced by demons into committing suicide. The herd of pigs represent collective uncleanness. Birds of a feather flock together. A clean vessel, a soul, refuses to be compromised by demons, but welcomes clean, righteous spirits and collectively enjoys abundant life with other clean vessels. So something important here, refusing to be compromised by demons, the magic and art, witchcraft, people who get into that, they're letting themselves be compromised by demons, because even though the spirits may sound clean, how do we know? Because they could be misleading people. So come out from her, my people. So with the pigs, Yeshua said to them, go. And at once they went out and entered into the pigs, and all that herd went straight over a cliff and fell into the sea, and they died in the sea. And those who were herding fled and went to the city and revealed everything that happened and about those possessed. And out went all the village to meet with Yeshua. And when they saw him, they beseeched him to depart from their borders. So how many people today are possessed? Seriously, a lot. The enemy knows him. Yes, look at that. They knew he's coming before the time. Wow, good insight there. Let's chew on these words.